stadium lights had gone dark 3 hours ago, but Marcus Chun was still there, sweeping confetti from section 214. His back ached. His phone buzzed with another text from his sister. Doctor says mom needs the surgery within 2 months. I don't know what else to do. Marcus stared at the message, then at his reflection in the darkened stadium glass. 43 years old, working 3 jobs, and still $47,000 short of what his mother needed. The experimental treatment wasn't covered by insurance. Without it, the doctors gave her 6 months. He pocketed his phone and kept sweeping. 3 sections over, Carmen Rodriguez was scrubbing spilled soda from the concrete steps. At 29, she'd been cleaning stadiums for 6 years, ever since her dreams of opening a bakery drowned in her father's medical debt. Her hands, once meant for kneading dough and decorating cakes, now smelled of industrial cleaner. The business plan she'd written 5 years ago sat in a drawer at home, growing more impossible with each passing month. Down in the loading docks, James Morrison guided the last truck out of the bay. At 56, he'd been a tour driver for over 2 decades. Good job. Steady work. But his daughter Emma, brilliant, passionate Emma, had gotten into Juilliard with a full scholarship. Everything except living expenses. Everything except $18,000 a year she didn't have. She deferred twice already. James knew if she deferred again, the dream would die. Some dreams have expiration dates. None of them knew what was coming. It was a Tuesday morning when the envelopes appeared. Marcus arrived at the tour management office for what he thought was a routine check-in. Instead, he found Sarah, the operations manager, sitting with a sealed envelope and tears in her eyes. "Marcus, please sit down." His heart dropped. "Am I being let go?" "No. God, no." She slid the envelope across the desk. "Open it." Inside was a letter on plain white paper, and a certified check. The letter read, "To the person reading this. You've spent months making magic possible for millions of people. You've worked through exhaustion, through long nights, through moments when you wondered if anyone noticed or cared. Someone did notice. Someone does care. This is not alone. This is not a mistake. This is yours. Thank you for everything you do in the shadows." The check was made out to Marcus Chin. For $100,000. Marcus's hands started shaking. The paper fluttered. His vision blurred. This is a mistake. This can't be." "It's not a mistake," Sarah said softly. "And you're not the only one." Carmen got her envelope in the break room. She read the letter 3 times, then looked at the check. Then read the letter again. Then she ran to the bathroom and sobbed so hard she couldn't breathe. $100,000. She called her mother, who didn't believe her. She took a photo and sent it. Her mother called back, crying in Spanish, saying prayers Carmen hadn't heard since childhood.
Mija, es un milagro."
James got his envelope in the parking lot, handed to him by a tour coordinator he barely knew. He sat in his truck and stared at it for 20 minutes before opening it. When he saw the amount, he put his head on the steering wheel and wept. Deep, shaking sobs that came from a place he'd kept locked for years. The place where hope lived, barely breathing. He called Emma. "Dad? Are you okay? You sound..." "Baby girl," he choked out. "You're going to Juilliard." Over the next week, the same scene played out across the tour crew. Truck drivers, stagehands, caterers, security guards, custodial staff, lighting technicians, people who worked in the invisible machinery of spectacle. $100,000 each. Over 60 people. The crew couldn't stop talking about it. Wild theories flew: a mysterious benefactor, a corporate PR stunt, a lottery windfall for management. But no one claimed credit. The envelopes came with no demands, no publicity requirements, no strings. Just gratitude. Just recognition. Marcus scheduled his mother's surgery for the following month. The doctor called it a miracle, not the money, but the timing. 2 weeks later, she'd start treatment. The experimental therapy the insurance company had called not medically necessary. Carmen gave notice at 2 of her 3 cleaning jobs. She found a small storefront in a neighborhood she'd loved since childhood. She registered her business, Carmen's, where every cake tells a story. On opening day, She wept as she hung the sign. Her hands, finally, smelling of vanilla and buttercream instead of bleach. James watched Emma pack for New York. She kept stopping to hug him, unable to believe it was real. The night before she left, she played her violin for him, a piece she'd written herself. He'd never heard anything so beautiful. "I'm going to make you proud, Dad." "You already have, baby. Every single day." It was Marcus who figured it out. 6 weeks into the tour's next leg, he was reviewing paperwork for a vendor payment when he noticed something odd in the accounting codes. A series of personal disbursements, all coded the same way, all from a single source. He shouldn't have been able to see it. But there it was. The payments had come from Taylor Swift's personal account. Not the tour's budget. Not a corporate sponsor. Not management. Her money. Her decision. Her secret. Marcus sat in stunned silence. Then he told Carmen. Then James. Soon, whispers spread through the crew like electricity. She'd given away millions of dollars. Quietly. Asking nothing in return. Something changed after that. The crew started arriving earlier. Staying later. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The quality of their work, already professional, became exceptional. But more than that, the way they treated each other transformed. Carmen started bringing pastries to the morning crew meetings. "I have extras," she'd say, though everyone knew she'd woken up at 4 a.m. to bake them. Marcus organized a crew appreciation fund. When a lighting tech's car broke down, they had the money for repairs within hours. When a catering assistant's apartment flooded, the crew found her temporary housing in 2 phone calls. James started a mentorship program, connecting young crew members with industry veterans. "Someone invested in my kid's dream," he told them. "Time to invest in yours." The culture shift was palpable. Visitors commented on it. Other tours started asking what they were doing differently. The secret wasn't a management strategy or a corporate initiative. It was what happens when people feel seen, valued, genuinely cared for. It happened in Atlanta, 3 months after the envelopes. Taylor was doing a sound check when she noticed something unusual. The entire crew, all 300+ people, had gathered in the stadium seats. They were just sitting there, waiting. She stopped mid-song. "Everything okay?" Marcus stood up. He was holding a microphone someone had passed him. His voice shook. "We know what you did." Silence. Taylor's face went pale. She glanced at her manager, then back at Marcus. "We know it was you," Carmen said, standing beside him. "The bonuses. The envelopes. All of it." More crew members stood. Soon the entire section was on their feet. James was crying. "My daughter starts Juilliard next month because of you." Carmen, "I opened my bakery last week." Marcus, "My mother is cancer-free. The treatment is working." One by one, they shared their stories. A security guard paid off his house. A stagehand adopted the child she'd been fostering. A driver opened a music school for underprivileged kids. A caterer went back to college. Taylor stood on stage, tears streaming down her face, shaking her head. "You don't. I didn't do it for this. I didn't do it for thanks." "We know," Marcus said. "That's exactly why we needed to say it." The entire crew began to applaud. It started slow, then built into a roar that echoed through the empty stadium. Some were crying. Most were smiling. All of them were changed. Taylor wiped her eyes, laughing and crying at once. "You guys are going to ruin my makeup before the show." "Good thing Carmen makes excellent cake," someone yelled. "Fixes everything." The laughter was warm, genuine, full of love. 6 months later, Marcus's mother finished her treatment. Complete remission. On her first day back at church, she baked cookies for the entire congregation and told everyone her son was a miracle worker. Carmen's bakery had a 3-week waiting list. She hired 5 employees, all from the tour crew who'd been looking for a fresh start. Her father, recovered now, worked the register. Every day, she wrote a new quote on the chalkboard outside. "Kindness is the ingredient that changes everything." Emma Morrison gave her first public recital at Juilliard. James flew to New York to watch. When she finished, the standing ovation lasted 4 minutes. Afterward, she introduced him to her professors. "This is my dad. He's the reason I'm here." James corrected her, "We're all here because someone believed in dreaming big." The tour crew developed a reputation in the industry. Everyone wanted to work those shows. Not because of the pay, though it was good, but because of the culture. People looked out for each other, celebrated each other, lifted each other up. And when new crew members joined, they'd always ask the same question: why is everyone so different here? The veterans would smile. "Let us tell you a story about an envelope." Epilogue: what no one saw. The cameras captured the concerts, the lights, the costumes, the choreography, the 70,000 voices singing in unison. But they didn't capture Marcus, working an extra hour to make sure the venue was perfect, thinking about his mother's smile. They didn't capture Carmen, sneaking homemade cookies into the crew break room with a note, "You matter." They didn't capture James, mentoring a 19-year-old stagehand who reminded him of Emma, telling him, "Your dreams aren't silly. They're sacred." They didn't capture the moment when a struggling single mother on the cleaning crew received an anonymous envelope, not from Taylor this time, but from the crew fund Marcus had started. $5,000. Enough to keep her lights on. Enough to breathe. The ripple had become a wave. Because here's what they don't tell you about generosity. It's contagious. Dangerously, beautifully contagious. One act of kindness becomes 2. 2 becomes 10. 10 becomes a culture. A culture becomes a movement. And movements change the world. The cameras will never capture the moment when Carmen's daughter, 20 years from now, pays off a stranger's medical bills because she grew up watching her mother pass on what was given to her. They'll never film the scholarship fund James establishes, sending dozens of kids to music school, because he knows what one chance can mean. They'll never document the thousands of small mercies that bloom from a single seed planted in secret. But they happened. They're still happening. Because someone decided that the people in the shadows deserve to be seen. That the invisible deserved to be valued. That a life can change with a single act of extraordinary kindness. This is what no one saw behind the scenes. This is what happened when one person decided that generosity wasn't a publicity opportunity, it was simply the right thing to do. This is what happens when you treat people not as cogs in a machine, but as human beings with dreams, struggles, and infinite worth. This is what changed everything. Sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest waves. Sometimes the quietest gifts echo the loudest. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is see someone, really see them, and say, "You matter. Your work matters. Your life matters." That's not just generosity. That's revolution. And it starts with a single choice to care when no one's watching. What will your envelope be? Please like and subscribe to this channel. Also, what country are you watching from? Let me know in the comment section.